tiny hostage situation involving yours truly. And if that's not enough of a motivation for you, they've got the bartender too. Some... Next time I'm taken hostage, you're my first port of call.
3339. This is the Loan Qualification Department.
Jay Schwartz, federal building behind me, and witnesses say today is the third day this week. ICE agents were waiting in the hallway for people similar to what's happening nationwide.
So y'all a bunch of fucking assholes.
Cell phone video
That-
shows ICE agents taking a man away in cuffs moments after his asylum hearing. It happened Thursday inside the Edward
So
J.
anybody
Schwartz
that's
federal building.
speaking up for the
Witnesses say he's
illegal
one of
aliens
several
that's getting
undocumented
deported,
immigrants
need to be
arrested
deported
this
with them.
week as they walked out of the courtrooms.
San Diego court alone, more than 20.
Similar raids have been reported in Washington, Texas, and Arizona. Tracy Crowley represents
Anybody
two
that's
asylum
bitching
seekers who were
about the
detained.
illegal
They're going
aliens
to
being
talk
deported,
about what
you need to
happened.
deport
They
with them.
both had a lot of questions about why they were being targeted since they're doing what they're supposed to do.
In a statement, a spokesperson for the Department of Homeland Security tells us, quote, most aliens who illegally entered the United States within the past 2 years are subject to expedited removals. If they have a valid, credible fear claim, they will continue in immigration proceedings, but if no valid claim is found, aliens will be subject to a swift deportation. Expedited removals were mostly used near the border and for people who just entered the country, but in January, the Trump administration expanded its use of the process. Immigrant rights advocates say this raises concerns.
By detaining them and removing them from the United States, it's essentially not permitting due process rights to be observed.
Rios says in at least 2 instances Thursday, ICE agents apprehended the wrong people. One man's lawyer intervened after he had a medical emergency.
It don't fucking matter if the bitch is.
Realized the mistake.
Can the government put someone in full removal proceedings, wait a year, and then choose their not to arrest and then put them in expedited removal with no cause? I think that's kind of what we're wrestling with now.
I'm getting down to the engine room.
Immigrant rights advocates are urging asylum seekers to stick to their court dates. Meanwhile, the Trump administration is facing multiple lawsuits challenging its immigration policies. That's the very latest from downtown San Diego. I'm Jennifer Franco.
Straight up fucking bullshit. Motherfuckers over here illegally and we paying for them to have legal representation. Fuck, I ain't getting no fucking legal representation. Motherfucker got a better lawyer than I can. I'm here from here. And he got a better lawyer than me. I'm from here and the bitch got a better lawyer than me. That's bullshit.
Is this our old friends? Oh, we really put our Todger in the hornet's nest with these fellas, eh?
Oh, that's phony. That's phony. That's phony. That's phony. That's phony. That's phony.
How many of these nut jobs are there? course. Well, we should get some compensation out of Galaxy for the engine failure. And don't worry, we're about to put an end to this pissing contest. Now, let's get out of this weather.
Tinker with the bill in major ways. I probably won't be happy with it, and we'll see what it looks like when it comes back to the House. But everything is a negotiation. Not everyone gets 100%. You saw SALT Republicans not get everything they wanted, but they got a little bit. You saw the Freedom Caucus get some of what they wanted, but they didn't get 100% of it. And so that's what negotiation.
Man, we ain't get what we want, man.
Has to be when you have different groups within our party fighting for what's right for their constituents and their country. We have to come to an agreement together.
So when do we get our hands around the deficit? I mean, when does that conversation happen, if not now?
Well, I think you're seeing it in some of the work that DOGE is doing, and I wish we were doing more to codify the DOGE cuts when we're cutting that kind of spending, and there's more to do. And I'm looking at all of the DoD contracts. I'm glad that we're increasing defense spending, but we also need to address all of these multi-billion-dollar contracts where some private contractors are literally, they have hundreds of people on contracts that aren't doing any work. Those contracts need to be cut, and we need to start over and be much more efficient with our dollars. But in cutting the spending and what DOGE is doing, that is step one in addressing the problem. But also the other thing we have to do is grow the economy. And I believe the provisions that Donald Trump is championing will help grow our GDP in ways that can absorb some of the debt deficit that's on the horizon.
Congresswoman, before I let you go, I want to talk about illegal immigration. You have the judge, Brian Murphy, who has blocked the Trump administration's deportation of 8 illegal immigrants, not just 8 illegal immigrants, those who have been convicted of murder, pedophilia, sexual abuse, essentially saying that these folks deserve due process. Now, this plane of 8 illegal immigrants landed in Djibouti, and they are now there until this is adjudicated. What do you make of this judge's decision, and what do you have to say to those who say that even the worst of the worst deserve due process?
Who said that?
Well, they didn't get due process. They didn't want due process on their way in illegally. They shouldn't get due process on their way out. They need to be deported immediately, particularly the murderers, the pedophiles, the child molesters, the rapists. They got to go first, and that's what Donald Trump is doing. But guess what? Judge Brian Murphy, he's not Secretary of State. He's not the President of the United States. He's not God. He does not get to override Donald Trump and his agenda to keep America safe. And so I hope that Donald Trump will keep deporting those murderers and rapists and do it as quick as he can, because we need to keep women and kids safe in our country. And these illegals who are here, and what I understand is some of these countries just open up their prisons and let these violent criminals come walk right into the United States of America. It's wrong. And we have the right to stand up for ourselves, our freedoms, our liberty, and our national security. At this point, it's a national security problem.
For those just tuning in, we are waiting for President Trump to speak at the West Point Academy in front of 1,000 cadets who are about to be commissioned as second lieutenants, officers in the U.S. Army. Congresswoman, before you were just talking about immigration, but there was also...
Fuck yeah. I don't know who's signing that.
Think about the scale of this scandal.
Yeah.
Where do you think it will go down, and how do you think people will remember the Biden presidency now that we know how cognitively impaired he was throughout the duration of his 4 years?
The auto pen scandal is going to be the biggest scandal in American history. Bigger than Watergate, bigger than Iran-Contra, bigger than anything else. Because you had the deep state, Democrat oligarchs running this country and not somebody...
Man, shut the fuck up. If nobody don't go to fucking prison, it don't mean a motherfucking thing.
And my number one question is, Kamala Harris, what did you know and when did you know it? Where have you been? What were you doing? Because it is the vice president's responsibility, as well as the cabinet, to alert the American people to an inability of the commander-in-chief to do his job.
Biggest scandal in American history. Byron Donald, straight out of his mouth. And this thing does get pretty interesting, if I do say so myself. And we're going to jump into a little bit of this because, man, is this stuff pretty crazy. It is extremely crazy. Realizing that, Joe Biden, the guy that was elected as president,
got 81 million votes from the fucking basement. We fucking stupid.
That is some pretty crazy stuff when you really think about it, because all of the pardons that were signed, more than likely, he had no clue about them. As a matter of fact, Speaker Mike Johnson talked about a story where Biden allegedly signed a bill and he didn't even know what was in it, because Mike Johnson was saying, well, why'd you do this? And Joe Biden was like, well,
I thought it was the EPA.
like, what?
I thought I was trying for the EPA.
Style and substance in the GMCC.
I thought I was trying for the EPA.
It's crazy. Let's dive there.
Who signed legislation opening our border? I don't think he knew. And now I find out that it was the oil pen did. Who was operating the oil pen? You know, signed it radical left lunatics that were running our country, and the oil pen signed it.
Trump said the quiet part out loud. Joe Biden wasn't running the country. He wasn't even signing the documents. The border wasn't opened by Biden. It was opened by an auto pen, a machine, a robotic arm impersonating a president. Trump asked the question millions of Americans have wondered for years. Who the hell would open our borders to criminals from all over the world? Now we know. Biden didn't. He couldn't. He was the actor, the costume, the feeble front man for a radical machine hiding just out of sight. And suddenly, The Wizard of Oz doesn't seem like a children's story. It feels like a documentary. The man behind the curtain, pulling levers, creating illusions, the booming voice of authority hiding the trembling fraud behind the scenes. That was the Biden presidency, a manufactured reality. Executive orders signed by a machine, controlled by people who didn't win an election. When this takeover started, they didn't want Biden. They wanted Bernie Sanders. But when they realized Biden appeared more electable and that he'd sign anything, or rather, let the auto pen do it, they saw their opening. So the party ousted Bernie, not the people. The corrupted Democrat Party installed Joe Biden. Even Bernie admits it now.
I feel like they stole it from you, and I'll be honest, it broke my heart when you supported them.
Can we not also say if that ostensibly there hasn't been a fair primary for the Democrats since 2008? Are they not also a threat to democracy? We often hear.
Fair enough. That is, yeah, I'm not going to argue with that. The party had their man. Feeble, corruptible, empty. Joe Biden, the puppet president. And for 4 years, America lived in Oz, where everything looked real, but none of it was. Until now. Because the curtain is being pulled back. Trump is pulling. And what's behind it isn't a wizard. It's a cabal. Unelected, unaccountable, and out of time. My friends, we are all enough. And the illusion is finally breaking.
Yeah, perfectly described. Perfectly described. The man behind the curtain. It wasn't Joe Biden. Somebody else, or a group of individuals, were really the ones that were pulling the strings. Crazy
Fuck
stuff.
all that. We won't know who.
Really,
Fuck. Too much motherfucking money went to change hands, man.
I want to play this clip of a whistleblower, or Ed Martin, talking about whistleblowers actually coming to him about the Biden administration potentially, allegedly, selling pardons. Yeah, allegedly they were making money off giving people pardons. Crazy stuff, man. Crazy stuff.
Hey, what's up?
You saw talked at length.
Yep, sure.
Before he went into the meeting with the House conference, talked to the media, and he talked a lot about this issue of the auto pen. All presidents use auto pen, but there seems to be a sense in the Trump administration that Joe Biden, and it's something Ed I think is working on, that Joe Biden used the auto, or people used the auto pen to sign things on Joe Biden's behalf, including pardons that may be not legally, constitutionally permissible if it wasn't actually the president, it was some robot or whatever you call the auto pen. So he was number 3. This is a Truth Social post from the president about this topic. Again, he talked about it at length this morning. Joe Biden was not for open borders. He never talked about open borders where criminals of all kinds are blah, 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 go through the process. It was the people that knew he was cognitively impaired and took that, and that took over the auto pen. They stole the president of the United States and put us in great danger. This is treason at the highest level. So, Ed, where did this start, this notion that the auto pen was improperly used? And what evidence have you seen for the president's accusation?
Well, I'll make a little news for you, Mark. I was in the office as U.S. Attorney for about 5 days when I wrote
to a number of senior Biden officials in the White House saying, what did you know about Joe Biden's competence and the pardons? And I got some responses, and so I've been looking at this for a while. Again, I think that the question is more about competence. If you have someone who's not competent, they can't enter into a contract, right? And if you do enter into a contract, you've committed fraud. The question is whether you use a tool to trick people into entering into a fraud. So I can understand. The Biden pardons are unprecedented. The ones right before Christmas, they did. People forget this. I think it's.
I don't got too much more to say. The question is, are we stupid? We know that the police lie. We know that the Democrats lie. The Republicans lie. Our government lie. The DEA lie. The FBI lie. The CDC lie. What the fuck is wrong with us? My question again is, why are we allowing people to lie?
The books as well as the staffers. I had a whistleblower in my office 10 days ago, senior Democrat, saying, look, it was these three people that controlled access, and they were making money off of it. I don't know if I believe it yet, but the point is, I think we have to get to the bottom of it for the American people and to protect the process, and that's what
people who we are paying good tax money to lie to us and get away with lying, and no one does nothing. How fucking stupid are we as the fucking sheep, as the fucking guinea pigs, as the fucking lab rats for the fucking elite assholes that's running every fucking thing, especially our fucking business in the fucking shitter. For those of you who don't know, the United States of America is a fucking business. For the people, by the...
And one of them wrote directly. I won't talk about what they said.
And you probably won't tell us, but can you tell us who the whistleblower was? Somebody who worked in the Biden White House?
The people, by the fucking people. But the fucking people are too fucking stupid to realize who's lying to who. All fucking believers are fucking liars. They don't have no fucking responsibility because they fucking believe like a fucking child. A child is a fucking liar by default. Their fucking parents' fault for teaching them how to be a fucking liar with this fucking make-believe non-fucking sense that stops you from using.
These were the ones.
Okay, I will politely and gently tell you his name is Francis Rachetti.
Okay, so
just so you know.
Make-believe nonsense that stop you from using common sense. The common sense that you're born with. The truth. Wow. How gullible and stupid are we really?
We're in charge of this auto pay.
These assholes really taught us to be stupid.
Chevy is ready to drive you forward with pure power unleashed and future.
I don't want to hear that shit.
Impossible. Selling parties.
Selling parties.
Some crazy work right there, man. If this all turns out to be true, yeah, this is going to be a scam.
Somebody gonna change the lies.
Because now you got to go back and basically get rid of everything that Biden did. Because it wasn't him that was signing it. He wasn't even aware. And like I said earlier, Mike Johnson talked about it. He had no clue. Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, had been, if you're not familiar with the story, here's a little tidbit of it. Mike Johnson had been trying to meet with Biden. The Speaker of the House tried to meet with the president. For a long time, all Democrat leaders made a bunch of excuses. Oh, well, no, Biden's doing this. Well, we don't have time for that. Blah, 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 blah. And then finally, he got a meeting. When he walked in, though, it wasn't just him and Biden. It was him, Biden, and a bunch of other people. I think, if I remember correctly, like Chuck Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries, folks like that, right? They were all in the room. And then randomly, Biden said, hey, everyone get out. I want to have a personal one-on-one.
Everybody that do any type of broadcasting.
Mike Johnson said, looks on their faces.
If you're not bitching about all the fucking lying, you are a fucking liar too. You are a fucking liar too.
So they all got up and left.
A lot of you got millions of fucking followers, but none of y'all telling the fucking truth.
talk to Biden, and Biden had no clue. Right. And then once he thought about it for a while, he was like, oh, well, he thought he signed something different, or the bill said something different. And Mike Johnson was like, no, that's not what it did. So, man. And then when you talk about the pardons, now that's the part that I'm really interested in. Because somebody by the name of Fauci got a pardon. Do we now get rid of that?
Speechless.
It's going to get good.
Stupid is what stupid does. And if you're not thinking for yourself, you are as stupid as you was taught to be. Like all fucking believers. You're liars. It is what it is.
I would greatly appreciate it. And if you're not subscribed, what are you waiting on? Hit that subscribe button and hit the bell button next to it so you are notified whenever these videos drop. Peace and love. Bye-bye.
The days of putting your career on hold to earn your MBA are over. With the fully online MBA,
he says maybe you should get rid of your visible tattoo.
Obama and Soros. These two names keep popping up when things start to feel a little off in the country, don't you think? They told you it was just a coincidence. Just family ties, just donations. But what if it's not constant? What if the same people pulling the strings behind the media, behind the government, behind
Man,
the in the tape? I want to play this clip where we talk about the connections.
You would have to be an asshole to not know that all these assholes are in this shit together. Trump the only one that's not in with the whole fucking fix, dealing with the fucking government. Dealing with the fucking government.
Is Nancy Pelosi's nephew. Just bear me out. Keep coming. Adam Schiff's sister is married to one of George Soros' sons. Who's George Soros? He hates the United States. He wants to turn the United States on its head. He put all of these progressives in office. He votes strictly Democrat. He supports strictly the Democratic Party. He hates the United States. He said he hates us. John Kerry, we know who he is. Forget that guy. His daughter is married to a mullah's son in Iran. His daughter is married to a mullah's son in Iran. Understand the connection that I'm making here. These are all facts. I'm not making this up. ABC News executive producer Ian Cameron is married to Susan Rice, Obama's former national security advisor. You want to see the deep state? You want to see the mafia? You want to see how this all pulls together? You want to understand why certain things have happened in this country over the past several years? Keep listening. CBS.
We need to be doing a mass arrest.
Ben Obama's deputy national security advisor for strategic communications.
We need to be doing a major mass arresting to all these fucking criminals where we can lay up there and follow the fucking money and you can find the fucking criminal. Joe Soros is behind all this criminal activities. I want to know why he's not in prison. Everybody want to say no one's above the law.
And that's true, bro. That ain't no coincidence at all. That's consolidation like a butter. That's sit down at family, holiday dinner tables. This is what Trump was talking about when he was talking about the deep state. It's not just red versus blue. It's elites protecting elites, man.
Nah. It's both fucking parties, stupid.
He said it's about...
It's both fucking parties, stupid. Literally, you should know.
Susan Rice.
Literally, you should know. You was brainwashed at one time, too.
To people that's...
You was a crip.
In the media... Y'all still think CNN
You was a...
So ABC News and CBS News both
because you used to be a Democrat too.
That were connected to Obama and the Democratic Party. ABC News correspondent Claire Shipman is married to Jay Carney, who is the former Obama White House press secretary. Look at the connection. Look at the mainstream media. Look at the deep state that we're talking about. This is mafia. This is all about control. You got to give them credit. They've done it right. ABC News and Univision reporter Matthew Jaffe is married to Katie Hogan, who is Obama's former deputy press secretary. Look at the connection here. Look at how it's all coming together.
Both parties.
ABC President Ben Sherwood is the brother of Elizabeth Sherwood, Obama's former special advisor. Who do you think's calling the shots here? You know darn well Biden wasn't calling the shots.
And that is making more and more sense. Oh, wow.
Mafia? You bet. All about power.
Literally.
They've been
Both parties been having a party.
This is what
Both parties been having a party on the taxpayers.
This is what you call a stacked deck. If you had a hunch the news media was somehow rigged and you couldn't put your finger on it, this might help you solve the puzzle. Now you know why nobody's investigating. They all have their hands in the cookie jar. You might have James Comey, remember, head of the FBI, who investigated the Clinton email scandal and the Clinton Foundation and made the final decision to not recommend prosecution by the DOJ. Well, listen to this. It turns out the Clinton Foundation was audited by the law firm DLA Piper. One of the executives there was in charge of the Clinton Foundation audit. Who was it? Peter Comey, James Comey's brother. Why? Investigated to the full. Why wasn't she indicted? She should have been indicted. She obstructed justice. We know that. We know that there was bribes coming into the Clinton Foundation, but James Comey's brother was in charge of the investigation. This is mafia, people. Take my word for it. Look at the
question is, what are we going to do about these fucking criminals that just poisoned us, that just used us as test subjects in a biological weapon?
ABC, CBS. All these people are tied to the same administration. No wonder Hunter Biden's story gets no wonder. Like Larisha Thompson, the woman that we just got finished reacting to, a story like that gets buried. How can you trust the news when the people are married to the people?
We need to shut all this shit down. We need to shut all this shit down.
This runs deep, man. They keep turning the Fox News. This is the problem. ABC's president's brother was Obama's advisor. Obama got a crib next to the White House, somewhere in the radius of the White House, something like that. I had one, I don't know what. Let's finish this off.
Who controls this? Listen close. Smartmatic partnered with DLA Piper Global. Douglas C. Emma, who is that? The husband of Kamala Harris. Works at DLA Piper Global. And then you got a connection to Kamala Harris with the voting machines. Douglas C. Emma, of course, Kamala Harris' husband. Guess who owns Dominion? Blum Capital Partners. Guess who is on the board for the company? Richard Blum. Guess who Richard Blum is? Dianne Feinstein's husband. You see how this all ties together to the Democrats? All the progressives? You had people in government in the Democratic Party that were controlling the outcome of Hillary Clinton and other things. And now you have the voting machines, Dominion, that services 40% of the country, is all tied up with the Democrats. And we have controversy about all of these things. Richard Blum is Dianne Feinstein's husband. Nancy Pelosi's husband is also a major investor in the company. Nancy Pelosi, she despises Donald Trump. Despises him. Her husband is on the board, controlling Dominion. It's a big club. And thank God you're not in it.
Oh my God. I'm trying to just wrap my brain around all this.
You just said what made it all up. Your guy. You trust. The bullshit. That's us.
Telling me, hey, you been getting better? Look, I've been actually looking at the videos, collecting my thoughts, and making sure I have some points that I want to remember to make. But anyhow, this is where it gets a little bit weird. Because the company, not company, my fault. Because the company and the government is all related.
Yep. Everybody. Everybody got their fucking hand in the cookie jar with us, and it's our cookie jar. Everybody got cookies on their hands, on their shirt, on their pants, on their shoes, and we just being played as a fucking fool.
Dramatic, the DLA Piper, and somehow Kamala Harris's husband is also in the mix. Close investments. This ain't this. I can't call it what I want to call it, but what if 90% of what you believe isn't the truth? It's just repetition. That would be my question for those on the other side right now. You still think this is about helping people? So do you think the Democrats are just trying to protect themselves? I really want to know. Look at this video from George Soros right here. He claims that Trump is a con man and that he's the ultimate narcissist. Could you believe this?
President Trump is a con man and the ultimate narcissist who wants the world to revolve around him. When his fantasy of becoming president came true, his narcissism developed a pathological dimension.
Man, who gives a fuck about what Joe Soros says? That old fucking cracker should have been fucking dead.
Why is this man still around? He should be banned from the country, not given the medal. Yeah, I heard they even have Soros laws in other countries. Dead serious. That's not necessarily they how they find. They said he sounds man, these people just want power, y'all. And they believe that they deserve it. They want you to believe that they deserve it. So they do not.
That's why
they don't want to see that table, honestly. They want to build the table.
They taught you to be a liar. All believers are gullible liars because you don't know.
They don't even want to build it. They want to take
when you believe, you're not thinking. They got you.
Soros. Look, man, y'all be said go check out somebody today. You probably live in saving their life. Peace.
Robert Kennedy's department is looking at this now. This report is a good start to that process. Now, let's look now at autism rates. And, this is 2022 to 2024 here. This is out in the wild. Anything can happen. Somewhat dangerous. That's why we made this. The hiding safety tool. Strong enough to break bricks. Tough enough to hit a bat. And it still works like new. Small, light, and ready anytime. For safety, for survival. This is 2022 to 2024 here. This is basically about 2023 data. Here, all the way up from the year 2000 there. And look at that increase. I mean, let's hope that this doesn't carry on. I mean, it doesn't bear thinking about. This needs addressed. Autism rates amongst children, this is by age 8. Alarming increase. Autism spectrum disorder impacts 1 in 31 children by age 8, more boys than girls. Over 10% of children have been diagnosed with a
In God you trust. I want to know who's gonna be. I want to know who's gonna be held accountable for all this lying that's been done to us. Once again, in God you trust. Where's fucking justice for us is at? In God we trust. Literally, if we don't stand the fuck up, we are gonna be killed by the elite assholes. By the elite assholes that want population control.
Extra diagnosed.
Bitches want people to die, man.
Increase
Your asshole you don't see that shit.
Mental disorders and learning impairments are also increasing. The intellectual capacity of the nation basically is under threat. And we're not that far behind in the UK, unfortunately, as well. We need to find out what's going on in the States and apply that information everywhere. This is what is needed. Over 7.5 million, that's 10% of children up to 16 K-12 students receive special educational service in 2023-2024. If 10% of children need special educational services,
something is really wrong.
Cancer rates per 100,000, ages 0 to 19. Boys slightly higher than girls. Unquestionably, the line is unfortunately going up. It's a positive.
Shit. In a minute, love. It's gonna be the reverse back to them having women making babies themselves.
Childhood cancer incidence has risen.
Well, with the food, they ain't gonna be able to go back to that now. Oh, yeah.
My suspicions here lie with environmental toxins, because we know that there's many carcinogenic pollutants that can contaminate the environment. Now, had at least one major depressive episode. On to mental health now. Now, this is girls. Appalling levels of mental health in girls. And again, this line here is 25%. So very high levels in boys. This line here is 10%. So still an appalling situation. Very, very high levels of depression and mental disorder in girls as well as boys. Teenage depression rates nearly double in 10-year period, from 09 to 19. More than 1 in 4 teenage girls in 2022 reported a major depressive episode in the past year. And this is 25% of the teenage girls being significantly mentally unwell. 3 million high schools.
So I want to just get it right.
Diagnosis of anxiety increased by 61% amongst adolescents between 2016 and 2023. Over 57% of the girls reported feelings of sadness and hopelessness. It should be a joyous time of life. And from 2007 to 2021, suicide deaths amongst the 24-year-olds increased by 62%. People commit suicide when the balance of their mind is disturbed. This is severe level of mental illness and distress in young people. Suicide deaths amongst 24-year-olds increased by 62%. Suicide is now the second leading cause of death in teens aged 15 to 19. Basically an epidemic of mental health problems. And the last main one I want to do is food allergies, because again, allergies are potentially life-ruining and life-threatening conditions. Here's the graph for this here. Prevalence of food allergies in 0 to 17-year-olds. Now, 0 to 4-year-olds is the red line, 5 to 9-year-olds is the green line, 10 to 17-year-olds is the blue line. And again, this data here is only going to up to 2008. So, presumably even higher now. And this line here is 6% of children with food allergies. Quite significantly from the late 90s down here. Over 1 in 4 American children suffer from allergies, so 26-27% of children have allergies. Eczema-related dermatitis, 12.7% of children have eczema. Between 1997 and 2018, childhood food allergy prevalence rose 88%. It's not far off doubling, it's ridiculous. Celiac disease rates have increased 5-fold in American children since the 90s. 1980s, rates of inflammatory bowel disease, including Crohn's disease, have increased by 25% over the last decade.
Man, all you gotta do is go look at all those fucking vaccines that these babies getting at birth. My question is, are we really this fucking gullible and stupid to Big Pharma?
Specific facts there coming from the report, meaning that this is
The practice physicians and Big Pharma, they all in this shit together. They don't give a fuck about your fucking health. They only give a fuck about making fucking money.
not, and this is not illusion.
Money.
This is real good argument about the diagnosis of autism. But there's still no question that the amount is increasing. So clear evidence here of the appalling state of health in American children. Now we're going to go and look at the factors probably in the next talk, but food is clearly a factor. Appalling in the States.
Man, food.
Exposure to environmental chemicals.
At birth.
Pervasive use of technology.
At birth.
And children being highly medicated, and the report said children are highly medicated. It's not working. So, the problem is real. This report is now going to go and look at some of the causes and some specifics, and in another 80 days' time, I think, we're getting a report with a strategies and concrete steps being taken. So that's the end of this video. As a complete aside, some of you know I'm foolish enough to ride a motorcycle, and every year I go to a local vintage motorcycle rally. I'm going to show you a clip of that now. For those of you who carry on looking at the White House report. Thank you for watching. For those of you that want a slice of old England, I'm going to put it on now.
Staying alive.
Dr. Jones.
Dr. John.
Report that was commissioned by President Trump in February on the health of children in the United States.
These bitches that's censoring us don't want to let me share this. This is fucked up. What the fuck are we gonna do? When the criminals are the ones running every fucking thing.
30 minutes.